Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're zeroing in on something fundamental in written Spanish, but maybe trickier than it looks.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about capitalization, the rules for using uppercase and lowercase letters.
Right. And we looked at a great source for this, didn't we?
We did a YouTube video from the Jaime Español channel, really clear, breaks it all down.
So our mission today is basically to unpack that for you, give you a solid handle on these rules. They're pretty crucial for writing Spanish correctly.
Absolutely essential. You want your writing to be clear, accurate,
Right.
professional even.
Okay, let's dive in then. What really jumped out at me first is how different Spanish capitalization is from English sometimes.
That's a key point. You really can't just map the English rules directly onto Spanish. Doesn't work like that.
So the video lays out quite a few rules for uppercase.
It does, 15 to be exact. But let's start with rule number 1. It's probably the one everyone expects.
Which is?
Any piece of writing, any text at all, starts with a capital letter.
Makes sense. Simple enough. Like the start of a book title, or the first word in a sentence. The video mentions some examples.
Yeah, from Sergio Fernandez's Vivir con Abundancia and Dale Carnegie's Como Ganar Amigos. Those first letters get capitalized. Standard stuff, really.
Okay, so building on that idea of beginnings, Rule 2.
Rule 2 is also about starting things. You use a capital letter after a full stop, but specifically one that separates paragraphs.
The punto y aparte, the paragraph break.
Exactly. You finish a paragraph, hit enter, start a new line. That first word needs a capital.
Right, signals a new block of thought.
Okay.
What's Rule 3?
Rule 3 takes us into names, proper nouns. So first names, surnames, and also nicknames. The video uses the term apodos.
Like Antonio Fernandez or his nickname Tony. Capital A, capital F, capital T.
Precisely. And the video mentions there's another kind of nickname, a mote, which is slightly different.
Ooh, intriguing. We'll circle back to that one later.
Definitely. Let's stick with the main uppercase rules for now. Rule number 4. This one covers names linked to, well, divinity, royalty, high status titles.
So words like Ray for king, Papa for pope, Christo for Christ.
Exactly. Those get capitalized. Shows their significance.
Gives it a formal feel. Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about those little abbreviations we see all the time, like for Mr. or Madam?
Good question. That's rule number 5. Abbreviations of courtesy. Things like Senor, Sarah, D for Don, Dina for Danya.
Okay, and how are they capitalized? Fully.
No, and this is important. Only the first letter is capitalized. So S in Senor, D in Dinya, not SR all caps.
Good tip. Easy mistake to make. All right, Rule 6 moves to
institutions. Names of specific organizations.
like museums or government departments?
Yeah, exactly. Museo del Prado, Ministerio de Educación. Capitalize the main words in the name. Helps identify them as unique entities.
Okay. And Rule 7 is nice and easy, I hope.
Rule 7 is easy. Roman numerals.
Like Eddie S16XX?
Yep. Always uppercase. Simple as that.
Love an easy rule. Okay, Rule 8.
Rule 8 is interesting. Fields of science.
Fields of science. Like biology.
Yes, but the Spanish terms. So geografía, astrología, cosmología, these get capitalized.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that necessarily.
It's a formal convention. The video actually stresses that not capitalizing them is a spelling mistake in Spanish. It treats them like distinct named areas of study.
Okay, that's a really useful one to file away. Geografía with a capital G. Got it.
What's after sciences?
Rule 9 covers historical periods and major events.
Like the Middle Ages or the French Revolution.
Exactly. So, la prehistoria, la Edad Media, la Revolución Francesa. And this rule also applies to artistic movements. Think el cubismo, el renacimiento, el neoclasicismo.
Okay, Cubism, Renaissance. And I notice you capitalized the la and L there, too.
Yes, that's a key detail for this rule. The article at the beginning, la L, is considered part of the proper name for these periods and movements, so it gets capitalized too.
So el renacimiento, capital E, capital R, good distinction. Okay, Rule 10. Rule 10 deals with a specifically Spanish thing, words starting with she or el.
Those digraphs, like chorizo or luvia.
Right. Now, the rule isn't that these words are always capitalized. It's that if they need to be capitalized for another reason.
Like starting a sentence.
Exactly. Then only the very first letter gets the capital. So chorizo at the start of a sentence is C-H-O-R-I-Z, capital C, lowercase h.
Not C-H-O-R-I-Z-O.
Correct. Same for lave. It would be L-A-A-Z, capital L, lowercase second L.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just about the first letter, even if it's part of a two-letter sound. Rule 11. Something about accents.
Yes, accents, tildes on uppercase letters.
Yeah.
This one has changed over time.
Oh, how so?
Well, you used to see words in all caps written without their accents. It was common practice. Maybe because typewriters made it hard?
Possibly.
But the Royal Spanish Academy, the RAV, clarified this. The current rule is, if a word normally takes an accent, it keeps that accent even when written in all uppercase.
So no escaping the accent rules just by hitting caps lock.
Nope. The example given was Kimion. Still needs the accent on the O, even in all caps.
Good to know the modern rule. Okay, 12. Colons.
Right. What happens after a colon in Spanish?
In English, it's usually lowercase,
Yeah.
unless it's a proper noun or starts a full quote.
In Spanish, according to the source, the word directly following a colon is generally capitalized.
Oh, interesting.
The example was, Querido Juan, te escribo. The te starts with a capital T. This often happens when the colon introduces a direct address, a list, or a related sentence.
Useful for letters in formal writing. Okay, 13. Geography again.
Yep. Place names, autonomous communities, provinces, cities, towns.
Like Andalusia, Madrid.
Exactly. And similar to the historical periods rule, if the official name includes an article like La Coruña or El Rompido,
The article gets capitalized too. La Coruña el Rompido.
that's the rule. Capital L, capital E.
Got it. Rule 14 sounds technical. Acronyms.
Acronyms, or siglas, as they're often called in Spanish, specifically ones that are pronounced as words.
Like NATO or NASA in English. What are the Spanish examples?
The video gave AVE for the high-speed train, Alta Velocidad Española, and DNI, the national ID card, Documento Nacional de Identidad.
And the rule is?
They are written entirely in uppercase, AVEDNI.
Makes sense. It distinguishes them.
Okay.
Nearly there. Rule 15.
The last uppercase rule covers titles, books, films, newspapers, that sort of thing.
How does that work? Is it like English where we capitalize most words?
No, it's simpler in Spanish, actually. Only the first letter of the entire title is capitalized.
Just the very first letter.
Generally, yes. Unless there's a proper noun within the title, of course. But the examples given were Los Siete Magníficos, La Historia Interminable, Las Páginas Amarillas. Only the L and las are capitalized initially.
Wow, okay. That's very different from English title case. That's a big one to remember.
It really is.
Phew. Okay, 15 rules for uppercase. That's a lot, but very thorough. Now, lowercase must be easier, right? Fewer rules.
Much fewer, thankfully. The video outlines just 4 key rules for lowercase.
Okay, let's hear them. Rule 1.
Rule 1 for lowercase is basically use it. It's the default. Writing everything in uppercase looks like shouting.
Right. Standard text is lowercase, keeps things readable, less aggressive.
Exactly. Rule 2 is when you highlighted earlier, a major difference from English.
Let me guess. Days, months, seasons.
You got it. Days of the week, months of the year, seasons, all written in lowercase in Spanish.
So lunes, not lunes. April, not April. Primavera, not primavera.
Correct. Unless, again, they happen to start a sentence due to rule 1 of uppercase, but otherwise, always lowercase. It's a super common slip-up for English learners.
Definitely one to drill in. Okay, rule 3 for lowercase. Back to titles.
Yes. Titles of nobility or dignity, like Rey or Papa, when they come before a proper name.
Like King Philippe VI.
The title itself is lowercase, so El Rey Philippe VI. Rey is lowercase.
But if you just said Felipe VI, the title Rey might be implied, or if you were referring to him just as El Rey, maybe then it's capitalized.
It can be, depending on context, if it's standing in for the full name. But when it's directly accompanying the name, like El Rey Felipe VI, it stays lowercase. It's acting more like a descriptor.
Okay, subtle but important. And the final lowercase rule, number 4.
It continues that idea. If you use those titles of dignity, but not referring to a specific named person.
Like talking about kings in general.
Exactly. The example was Los Reyes de España, the kings of Spain. Reyes is lowercase because it's general, not pointing to Felipe VI specifically.
Got it. So specificity matters. Specific person named the lowercase title usually. General group, lowercase title.
That's a good way to think about it.
Okay, so that's the core rules. 15 for uppercase, 4 for lowercase. The video wraps them up nicely, which is helpful for review. Definitely worth going back over if any of that felt fuzzy for you.
Absolutely. But wait, we nearly forgot.
The nicknames. Apodo versus mote.
Right. The video explained this nuance. An apodo, it seems, is usually derived directly from the person's actual name.
Like a shortening or a pet version.
Yeah. Antonio becomes Tony. Manuel or Manolo becomes Lolo. Usually friendly, maybe a term of endearment.
Okay. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Like Alex for Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes a mote different?
A mote is, well, it's usually based on something about the person. A physical trait, a personality quirk, maybe something they did once.
Ah, so not linked to their name at all.
Not necessarily, no. And it can sometimes be a bit teasing or funny, maybe even slightly pejorative, though not always. The example was Juan el Peluca.
Juan the wig. Okay, I can see how that might arise.
Exactly. Maybe he has distinctive hair, or maybe he actually wore a wig once. Who knows? But it's descriptive.
And there was a grammar point about motes, too, wasn't there? Something about el or la.
Yes, very interesting point. Motes almost always take the definite article el or la before them. And the crucial thing is the article, el or la, agrees in gender with the person, not necessarily with the noun used in the mote itself.
Whoa, hang on. So peluca, wig, is a feminine noun, right? La peluca.
It is, but because Juan is male, his mote is el peluca.
El peluca. Even though peluca is feminine.
Correct.
Yeah.
If it were Juana the wig, she'd be la peluca. The article matches Juan or Juana, not the wig.
That's fascinating. A little linguistic detail that tells you a lot really shows how grammar and culture intertwine.
It really does.
Well, I think that covers everything from the video. We've gone through uppercase, lowercase, and even the subtleties of nicknames.
Indeed. And hopefully understanding these rules helps you see that capitalization isn't just about, arbitrary rules. It's about clarity, formality, and showing a good command of written Spanish.
Yeah, it avoids those jarring moments when something looks off on the page, and it prevents actual grammatical mistakes.
Definitely makes your writing look more polished and professional.
So, as you read Spanish texts now, maybe pay a bit more attention to those capital letters. See these rules in action. And just as a final thought, we talked about how the rule for accents on capital letters changed over time. The RAE updated it.
Right. Language evolves.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder what other grammar rules, things that seem absolutely fixed right now, might shift or change in the future.
That's a great question. Something for you to think about as you keep exploring Spanish. Language is always dynamic.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.